there. For this video, we're going to talk about three more components as we, continue our journey toward exploring different career clusters and different career pathways. And as we've talked about in the past, it's really important to know who you are as an individual. And we've done some personality tests to kind of identify some of our interests and some of the things that we like to do or some of the things that characterize us. For this next phase, we're going to be looking at our strengths and interests, things that we're good at, that provide us joy and fulfillment. We're also going to be looking at our values, at our personal values. These are things that are priorities or things that are important to us. And then finally, we're going to start setting some goals for ourselves, and what's maybe a little bit more important than the setting of the goal itself is the action steps it takes to achieve that goal. So that's kind of where we're headed, and this presentation will help give you an overview of each of those elements. Obviously in this class, we are planning for your future. What does it look like for you, life after high school? Many of us have, ideas. Some of us don't, and that's okay. That's what this class is intended to do, is explore those options and see what's out there for you. When we take a look at our own personality traits, our strengths, our values, those become drivers in our decision making. So as we start to explore our future, it is important to know who we are as individuals, and it's also important to note, what do you want? What do you want out of your life? What is important to you? What are your priorities? And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So as I recently explained, there are three real drivers that we're going to be looking at this week. We're going to be looking at your strengths. What are things that you do well? Maybe it's, things that you know about. Maybe it's things that you're proficient in, things that you're really good at. Maybe there's skills that you have or talents that you have. And, this can be really important because, identifying what you're good at really can bring you some joy, some fulfillment in your life. And it is something that maybe will have you gravitate toward a specific career pathway. So identifying that in yourself is really important. The second one is values. These are your priorities. What is important to you, both in your work life and in your personal life? And at 14, 15, 16 years old, you might not be thinking that way, but you might have some ideas, and we will be doing some exploration of that as well. And then finally, goal setting. This is your outcome. This is your target. This is where you want to get to. So if we think about, goal setting and action planning, that's really your roadmap for your life after high school. So we're going to first talk about strengths and what you're good at. These are things, when you are good at something, right? You are more motivated to do that. A little anecdote, when I was very young, I started playing golf and I was lousy at it. I was terrible. And as a result, I didn't like it very much. I continued to practice and play, and I started to get better, so that motivated me to practice a little bit more. I got a little better, which motivated me to practice even more. And eventually I got okay. I got pretty good. I started playing in tournaments. I had the opportunity to play in both high school and college, and I really began to love it. It brought me joy. It brought me a sense of fulfillment. So we often see that as high school students, maybe some of you have skills and talents in athletics, in sports, but it can be in other areas as well. Maybe it's in math and science. Maybe it's in the arts, fine art or music or theater. Maybe it's, some kind of skill academically. Maybe it's in writing. Maybe it's in design. Or maybe it's just in problem solving. It can be any of those things. So it's important to really identify that and see what are the things that you're really good at and how can that help you in your decision making for your future. The next element that we're going to talk about are values, and these are things that are priorities for you and things that are most important to you. What matters most? And this could be really anything. I think that as kids, you might be influenced by family or friends and or the community. But ultimately, what you feel is important is up to you. That's for you to identify. And then these values become, your priorities for your life, whether it is a values for education or values for work or values for life. Those are things that we need to start thinking about, because what's important to you can be an important factor as you decide to what you want to do as a career. Maybe a value of yours, maybe you think that making a difference in the world is important, right? That's important to you. Maybe it's compassion or caring for others. Maybe it's having financial security and gaining wealth. Maybe that's a priority for you. Or maybe it's developing relationships with others. No matter what it is, there is no wrong. There is no wrong here. It's however you feel and what's a priority for you. So again, at 15, 16, 17 years old, maybe your values right now are very focused around friendships and your family, and that's absolutely true. What we're going to do a little bit later this week is that we are going to take a values assessment and really start thinking about our priorities and what's important to us. Again, between the strengths and the values, these become elements and drivers in our decision making. In a couple weeks, when we start reviewing career clusters and eventually career pathways, you're going to be drawing on this information to help you make some decisions as you start to explore those different career paths. Finally, what we're going to talk about is goal setting. Goal setting is really important. This helps you stay on track. It becomes a roadmap for success. Think of a goal as your target. Where do you want to end up? And that's really important to think about. Again, strengths and values play into that. But it gives you a vision for the future. Now, what I would say is that equally as important, if not more important than setting the goal itself, and you might have a personal goal, you might have a professional goal, you might have a school goal, whatever it may be. What might be a little bit more important than setting the goal itself is determining the action to get you there. That action plan is really so important because those are the steps that help you stay on track so that you can achieve your goal in the end. So our culminating activity for this learning plan is going to be setting a short-term goal, a short-term personal goal, and we're also going to be creating an action plan. So you're going to be thinking about the steps it's going to take in order to achieve that goal. Then in about a month, we're gonna revisit that goal and reflect upon it and see how you did. So all of these things are really working together, and it is leading us toward the eventual exploration of different career clusters and career pathways.